let us understand this very, very clear. That we must have a purpose. And that purpose is to support what is always constant, change. And as we yearn for improvement. Today, comrades, I see us doing more than we are doing. Let me tell you what. We need to develop the ability to work together. Work together. And as I recognize a number of politicians from the opposition are here, let me say to them that we are not only expecting them after only to march today, but to work with us as we prosecute the issues that confront the working class. Whatever we do, we are going to bring it to them, and they will have to take it to the National Assembly. They have attacked and sought, this government has attacked and sought to be more the leaders of the trade union movement. I am one whom they try, and they're still trying, but they have failed to do so. They have destroyed the largest pension fund that was owned by workers in this country, the Bauxite Industry Pension Fund. They have done that. In as much as we, and what has happened in the destruction of that fund, all the people who worked in the bauxite industry over the years, who have reached pensionable age, continue to live without a pension. These guys, these men and women are shameless and they don't care about us. They're now working to destroy the credit unions and cooperatives because they intend to take away the lands and all property that are owned by workers in this country. And they are the people who call themselves the working class. They have removed the pension, they have removed the check-off system in the public service. Let me tell you what. I want to tell you this. I have gone through, I have seen, I have lived in this country, and I've been in public life where every president from Burnham coming through who had executive responsibility for this country. I have stood up, I have spoken my mind, but this is the worst I've ever seen. A bunch of men and women who don't want to give space to anybody else but themselves and their cronies. Comrades, they have taken the decision that they are going to put systems in place to make sure that they remain in life, perpetually remain in public office, to do what they want to do. And this takes me to what we call the National Intelligence Bill that they have in the National Assembly. You know what that thing for? Let me tell you what it's for. It is to spy on the citizens of this country. Already we have seen a situation where anybody speak or express another opinion beside that what is said by the Ali Jagdeo regime. If you express another opinion, they take you before the court. What they are doing now is creating a bill to meet the needs of this regime, where they are going to use the police force or the security forces of this country to make sure that if you talk, you will be prosecuted. It is to spy on us. It is to spy on us. We as citizens of this country will have to stand up and make sure that the bill receive all guardrails are put in place to protect people whose right, protect persons, that their fundamental rights and freedoms are not being destroyed. We have to take that position. And they have a call to the government, the opposition, that this bill that has been sent to a select committee, this bill must be given. There must be public hearings, because this impinges on rights, determine how we will behave. This bill, in its present form, has not given. What don't exist there is a situation where the people who will execute the duties will not be held accountable. That's the problem that we have. We have that problem, and we need to definitely address it. We cannot allow this bill, and Labour in every form must be able to come before and come make an open presentation to this nation about this bill. This is about rights. It's about the rule of law. It's about your fundamentals in society. We cannot allow them. And this bill goes beyond that. It is structured and being put in place for a group to perpetuate themselves in office. And you have no authority at any time. You will have no authority at any time to question what they're doing. But when they're doing this bill, they talk about another one, the anti-terrorism, right? There is another one. But they're making all these bills. And they're spending plenty money. But the issue of Article 27 of the Constitution, which speaks about free education from nursery to university, they are not prepared. They are not prepared to honor that. They are prepared to starve the University of Guyana and needed funds to expand and optimize its services to the people here. What they've done, they have established something they call goal, which gives them the opportunity to say who will go to school, who will get university or higher education or improved standard of education. And it is not only that, of they selecting who must get it. They have the capacity, as you know them. They will do nothing or put no system in place unless they can have some money coming through the back door. Like how Sue money used to come through the back door. The money with Sue used to come through the back door. That is the type of thing. The history of Article 27. It's a right. Free education is a right. And because it's a right, we must not allow any government to say to us that we must wait until 2025 for us to have our rights respected. We cannot have that. Our rights have to be respected now, and we must demand that our rights, particularly or specifically, the right to free education, the right from nursery to university, it must be respected, and we must demand that from this government. The issue of all health services is another one. What they do? They underfund the public health institutions, the Georgetown Public Hospital, the New Amsterdam Hospital, and so forth, the clinics and so on. But you know what they're doing? They're telling you now that they are helping or giving support to private health institutions. The question of universal health care is a right, and we must fight for that. What is going to happen in the system is a situation where when you're sick and you go to Georgetown Hospital, they will tell you, the doctor there will diagnose what your problems are. And if it requires a surgery, you will now be directed to the private hospitals for the surgery to be done. What them people is doing is really passing state money, money, to their friends and cronies in the private sector. And we need to come out against it. Don't tell me that these men who are making these investments, they are Guyanese. Don't tell me that. What I want to tell you, that whenever they do it, you need to consider many of you in here who can't afford to pay the health services bill at a private hospital, and you live in a society where politics is everything, and you will not be able to get to that private hospital because somebody who is political will not want to give the authorization. It tells me that many of our trade union leaders, we are challenged in that sense. Let me tell you that this TUC has to demand a number of things. We want, and I'm glad to get the leader of the opposition here and his shadow ministers, Ms. McDonald, Mrs. Desir, Mr. Ford, and you may have other MPs around. Blue Bess, I want to tell you something. You are in this here not to be consumed, but to work towards having these things realized. One, legislation to give meaning to Article 13. This is the article, right? Where this article say of the Constitution? To establish an inclusionary democracy by providing increasing opportunities for the participation of citizens and their organizations in the management and decision-making processes of the state, with particular emphasis on these areas of decision-making that directly affect the well-being. And when they say well-being, they're talking about the citizen. Two, establish all constitutional commission. The Human Rights Commission in the Constitution had yet to be about to be established. And let me tell you something. We are talking just putting bodies on them. These people are taking some people, making them chairmen of this commission who have never run anything. Even the host, they never run. So I don't know where they're leading us and taking us. We have to, this thing got to change. 3, legislation to realize the devolution of power for constitutional Articles 75 and 76 to safeguard the regional and local government system by allowing for meaningful involvement of the people and their representatives at these levels. 75 and 76, since 1980 Constitution was established, was promulgated. You know what it says? He says, Senpai said, look, the region shall develop its economic plan and central government shall fund it. We have to stop this thing where people believe that Georgetown will determine how much money Region 10 get or how much money Region 6 get. Region 6 and 10 must be able to develop their budget, and systems must be put in place to make sure that they are funded. Let me tell you what, the TUC has always argued that if you dig gold in Region 1, and that gold carries royalty, some of the money from the royalty must be left in that region for the development of that region. We cannot have this situation where a group of people believe that they will take all the money in Georgetown and they will continue to say what you will get, what or if you will get any in the region. Comrades, legislation to make the national budget inclusive. The appropriation bill should not be passed in the National Assembly by less than 60% of the elected members, which will necessitate inclusionary democracy and competition, cooperation, in fact, across the political divide. What we mean? In the present form, when a budget is there, I listen to them in Parliament. When the opposition make recommendations, you know when they say you can talk from now, we're going to pass the budget. We want 60%. That if they can't talk, if they not decide to sit down and get the opposition involved, let's discuss how the wealth of this country will be divided, then there shall be no budget. We have to put system in place. We have to fight for it. And I ask you, don't be afraid. I'm glad that the leader of the opposition and his team are here. We're telling you how we like this thing. Legislation. 5 is legislation. To realize affirmative action, including commissions, to ensure equity in employment opportunities in the public and private sector, the awarding of government contracts, access to education, and other socio-economic benefits, resource impacting the various demographics. Let me tell you what. Every time you hear this government, they tell you something about how many black people, how many African people in the police force and the army. Right? They tell you how many there. And you want ethnic balance there. But they don't tell you, say, the preponderance of the people in Gaisoko are East Indian and we must have ethnic balance there. This thing here where people want to use, this is your race every time. We have to put systems in place that to make sure that we, I know this is a question, this is an issue politicians like run away from. But we got to deal with the issue of race here. We have to deal with it. We can't run away from it. It is something that dogged this country to too long. And when you talk about race, people tell you that you are a racist. You know, let me tell you something. You know who's a racist? A racist is the man who just come. The man who is the butcher. The butcher from Unity, under whose leadership we have had thousands, hundreds of young men, lives were snuffed out. You tell the butcher from Unity, who appoint Sue, head of the Going West, right? He is the racist, not me. Let me tell you something. 6, implement direct all benefits, cash transfer through social programs according to the World Bank Each transfers are a safety net for many in society because the provision of assistance in the form of cash to the poor or those who face a probable risk of falling into poverty. In the absence of transfer, the main objective of these programs is to increase poor and vulnerable households' real income. We believe Professor Clive Thomas's proposal of giving each home 5,000 US per year is doable. This year, Guyana is expected to earn at least 2.88 billion. We, the workforce, demand our fair share. We have to demand. Let me tell you something. Listen, let me tell you. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. Hear what these people doing with you. They give you a t-shirt, but not the one for today. They give you another one that they take from us, right? And they put their rating on it. Let me tell you something what they do. They tell you if you come out, put on a t-shirt, we're going to give you $10,000 and a box of food. And if you come 2 times or 3 times a year, you don't get 10 trees, it's 30. Let me tell you something. Let me calculate this thing to you. If each household get $5,000 US dollar, you call it $1 million. And it's 5 of we inside the house. It's $200,000. We don't have to prostitute ourselves as individuals walking behind these people. Let them implement this. This is what we should be talking about. Don't tell me you're going to set up, what you call it? You're set up this agency will spy on me. That agency will do this. You're going to build this road and you're going to build that. And I can't eat. We want the money. And I'm asking you, let me hear you. Are you want the money? We want the money. And that's what we're going to fight for. These are the type of things that we fight for. Comrades, I sang, this TUC sang, we need to lower or eliminate income tax, right? Or provide tax rebate to PAYE, restore allowances if we can't do for children, monthly grants to those 18 years and over with conditionalities. Conditionalities can vary from returning to school to purchasing certain educational programs that vary from time to time, dependent on the material needs. The approach encourages development of a human resource and challenging same in direction of national need. What we saying? If a child wants to go back to school, a woman or a young lady or a young man is age 18 and they want to go to school, let me find money. We find money for them to go to school. Pay them, give them a grant or something. If they want to go university or want to go GTI. Don't come to tell me that you're going to the Philippines or you're going to somewhere in Latin America or you're going to Pakistan to find people to work here. I want to tell you this. Them people is discriminating bad. I'll challenge anyone from the media. If you come to my office this afternoon, I will give you a list of over 500, a data bank of over 500 Guyanese who technically qualified people looking for jobs in this country. I do my homework before I come here. This is not talking off the top of my head. I know what it is. And you tell the butcher from Unity, and his sidekick that we ain't getting, You know, we're saying you must institute unemployment benefit paid for stipulated maximum time period, enabling persons in between jobs to be able to sustain themselves at least on the basis. Let me tell you something. In 1969, when the NIS was established, it made provision for unemployment benefit. All that it wants is the regulation to be written for that. We get all money now. It is time that we take some of the all money, put it in the NIS to deal with the issue of an unemployment benefit. We have to fight for it. We can't sit down and allow these people to do as they like with our money. Comrades, we got bailed out the NIS. Here what happened. Let me tell you about the NIS. Over the years, whenever the actuary has done his analysis and those recommendations were made, the private sector, together with the government, colluded that those recommendations would never be implemented. As such, people who have retired 20 years ago are now receiving a pension somewhere around $30,000 from the NIS, when in fact they would have been getting something about $90-something thousand if those recommendations were embraced. Let me, comrades, say to you, we have to reduce electricity, transportation and gas prices, and reintroduce public transportation system, which will create compensation and which will create competition, compensation, and alternative jobs for people in society. We have to do something. We have to get transportation that meet the needs of the vulnerable. The minibus ain't gonna drive past me because of our look. We'll have public transportation. Let me say it to you. We also want you to provide property owners direct and indirect cash transfer through interest-free, very low interest rate, soft loans to improve and maintain residence and immediate home environment. This will lead to the beautification of property and community, villages and towns. Let me tell you something. Oh, they're so daft. They're digging out all the palm trees on the East Coast Road. They dig out, and they tell about low carbon. They dig out all the grass, and you know what they're doing? They're packing cement inside. Okay? That is their view of beautification. They don't see that the whole issue of planting flowers, planting trees as something important. When they go, they talk overseas about low carbon and what it's all about. But what they're doing, practicing it, is something different. We have to stand up and allow, we have to stand up and make sure that these loans, when people go to the bank for loans, for improve their house, repair their house, they're not faced with a 10% interest rate. But we can pay, we can meet something of a 2% interest rate, which help people to do better than they're doing. Comrades, we want to see the raising of the National Insurance Scheme deficit and ensure its viability, given it is the most important pillar safeguarding workers' income and protecting cash against loss of pay as a result of industrial injury, sickness, maternity, and other conditions such as old age, invalidity, and loss of income through death of a winner and providing assistance for medical care. Let me tell you something. All these things we're supposed to be doing. You know why they're not doing it? Because they can jump on plane when they're sick and they're gone. So they don't care a hell about NIS. But when their friends get sick and the family and they can't go, even when they collect overseas, they come back here with the bills. And even if they get a contribution in the NIS, they call NIS and they give instructions that they must be paid. The bills must be honored. Well, we got to stop this thing. These bills must not be honored on hoverbacks. Comrades, let me tell you what. Immediately, this is the last one. Immediately restore the constitutional right to free education, Article 27, from nursery to university. They should see capacity building in the University of Guyana, technical and vocation schools, and the start of early public education that prepares our children for a technologically driven economy with e-learning. This includes facilitating the expansion and upgrading of the Crichlow Labour College, where we are right there. They take away the money. And let me tell you something. They take away the money because we talk. But let me tell you something. We're going to continue to talk. And the more you believe you're going to close us, we're going to talk more. You ain't going to stop we. This Government Technical Institute, NARI, Guyana School of Agriculture, Institute of Development and Continuous Studies, etc. What we're saying that all these things, we must have money for do this thing. The future, comrades. The future. Let me tell you something. You know, this thing, let me say to you this way. This future can't be about race and ethnicity. Can't be about that. Let me say to you, all of you, the Amerindian, the African, the East Indian, we are in the same boat. But we're just sitting at a different point. We are in the same boat. We are sitting at a different point. We are on MV poverty. MV poverty, that's where we are. Understand it very clearly. They're going to put us to fight against each other. But while they're doing that, they're carrying the money for them, their friends, their cohorts, and their family. Comrades, I raise out today 15 points that we will be crusading on. And we want this to be done, much of this to be done, in fact, before the end of the life of this parliament. We shall pass this on to the government, the Speaker of the National Assembly, the leader of the opposition, the leader of the PNC, and the leader of the FC. We are going to walk, as I said earlier, that we expect the MPs who are here today will not only walk with us today, you will continue to walk with us as we achieve the list that I've read. Comrades, let us understand. The fight continues. May God bless you, and may we struggle forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Comrade Lewis. May I invite to the podium Brother Ian Andrews. Ian, who will do the vote of thanks? Ian Andrews. He's coming.
Good afternoon, comrades. It was kind of unprecedented, but I'm here, and I'm going to do what is asked of me to extend the vote of thanks. Now, all protocols being observed. Anyhow, I'd like to give special thanks to the leader of the opposition for being here with us today. I think you should give him a round of applause so that he could share his important time with us. You know, missed also we have a person who we know as our mayor, but then he would have held a higher office in his time, and that is the office of Prime Minister. And as long as he can walk, as long as there's any life in his body, we know he'll always be here and he'll always be with us. The Honorable Hamilton Green. Now we have a set of dignitaries here who I will not like to identify individually, but they're all esteemed parliamentarians. The persons who sit in our chambers, fight for us, they do the work up there. We will have to do ours up there. So I'd like to say thank you, parliamentarians, for spending this time with us. And among us, there is a parliamentarian who holds a very special office in this labor movement, and I think she should be identified separately. That is Honorable Coretta MacDonald, President of the Ghan Trade Union Movement. We have our Women's Auxiliary, Women Advisory Council members. They are very important to us, and I'll be honest with you people, I don't think this movement or any movement, political movement in this country could survive without our women, no? And I think you need to give them a resounding round of applause. And we see it every day, whether they are protests, regardless of what is to be, they're always in the vanguard. And I've said before, and I ask myself, where are our men? We don't see them there. I know, as I said before, we see a lot of them in Sure Pray or Sure Bet or something whole day, or the horse race place. You got to come out and support your women, you know, because I know that they know what goes on in the home. They feel the pressure of minding children, and they will obviously be very passionate about defending their independence, and their integrity. And I say this today. This year happens to be the bicentennial of the 1823 uprising. And I'm not like trying to gain any mileage here, but I'm a direct descendant of those persons from Butler's Adventure. And I want it to be known through labor or otherwise that from what we're seeing going on in this country right now, it is a clear indication that sometimes you have to forget political affiliation and realize that we're in a survival of a race of people. And I'm going to be brutal with that. You know, so we have to be careful. I will not be re-enslaved. And I say to you people, if our ancestors could have fought for us to be here today, we must carry on the fight, even if there's some collateral damages. I don't care about that. Now, I also like to thank those affiliates and their members who are here with us. It's sad that we have to be in two halves, or I mean, 3/4 and a half their sound and a quarter their sound way, so we ain't care with it there. But we want to have, and I don't know if our General Secretary will mention it, but we had applied to use the National Park a long time ago. And just before the end of this week, we were told that it is already booked. So we got to find some way to go. But we know who the persons are who would have had it. So I would like to thank all of you people, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, who has given this time to be here today. And there are some unions who are under the master-servant relationship where you're under an employer, and there ought to be some amount of collective bargaining that we're not seeing right now. But then we cannot forget that they are among us persons from informal sector organizations, informal sector unions, which is a new thing here. And I'd like you to give a special welcome and applause for the members of the Guyana Market Vendors Union. Somewhere along the line, we will realize the importance of these people, because we have local government coming up, elections, and we will not allow those people to take this town. But if it happens, it would either be brutal or something that we've never seen before. We've seen Rwanda, we heard about Sri Lanka, we're seeing Haiti. I hope that they think before troubling these people with name vendors. They're not easy people. They're not easy to manage, but we have to respect them. So